Hello everyone, I am my best friend Advik Shetty, and today I will continue the series of Ruskin Bond from the Tale of Childhood Part 3. So, yesterday we have read till page number 23. Now, today in this video we will continue from that page. Now let us know what happens with Sita when she climbs on the tree. Sita climbed upon the tree to get a better view. She had climbed the tree many times and it took her only a few seconds to reach the higher branches. She put her hand to her eyes to shield them from the rain and gazed upstream. There was water everywhere. The world had become one vast river. You can see. Sita is looking at the river. The sky was banked with massive moisture clouds. The thunder rolled down from the hills and the river seemed to take it up with a hollow booming sound. Something was floating down with the current. Sita could make out the bulky object, a drowned buffalo, being carried rapidly downstream. So the water had already inundated the villages further upstream. How long would it take for the river to reach her own small hut? As she climbed down from the tree, it began to rain more heavily. She ran indoors, shooing the hens before her. They flew into the hut and huddled under grandmother's cot. Sita thought it would be best to keep them together now, and having them took away some of the loneliness. She would have liked to close the door and shut out the swish of the rain and the boom of the river, but then she would have no way of knowing how fast the water rose. She took Mumta in her arms and began praying for the rain to stop and the river to fall. She prayed to God Indra, and just in case he was busy somewhere, she prayed to other gods too. She would have to make herself a meal, so she chopped up some onions, fried them, and then added turmeric and red chili powder and stirred until she had everything sizzling. She then added a tumbler of water, some salt, and a cup of one of the cheaper lentils. She then covered the pot and allowed the mixture to simmer. Doing this took Sita about 10 minutes. It would take at least half an hour for the dish to be ready. When she looked outside, she saw pools of water amongst the rocks and near the tree. She couldn't tell if it was rain or the overflow from the water. Next, she had an idea. A big tin trunk stood in the corner of the room. It belonged to the Sita's mother. She would stuff the trunk with everything useful and valuable, or weigh it down so that it won't be carried away just in case the river came over the island. Grandfather's hookah went into the trunk. Grandmother's walking stick went in too. So did a number of small tins containing spices used in cooking, a bigger tin of flour, and a tin of raw sugar and a clean white cotton shirt of grandfather. And grandmother's only spare sari went also into the trunk. Sita was busy packing the trunk that she paid no attention to the leak of cold water to her heels. She locked the trunk, placed the key high on the rock wall, and then turned to give her attention to the lentils. Then she discovered that she was walking on a watery floor. She stood still and horrified by what she saw. The water was oozing over the threshold, pushing its way into the room. Sita was filled with panic. Darting out of the hut, she ran splashing through the ankle-deep water towards the safety of the peepal tree. If the tree hadn't been there, she might have floundered into the deep water and into the river. She climbed swiftly into the strong arms of the tree, and she made herself secure on a familiar branch and thrust the wet hair away from her eyes. Would the river rise still higher? Sita had never seen like this before. The hut was surrounded by water. The hens hadn't been bothered to leave the hut. They were probably perched on the cot now. Will the river rise still? The water swirled around her, stretching in all directions. Four drowned cattle came floating down. The most unusual things went by on the water: an aluminium kettle, a cane chair, and a tin of tooth powder, a wooden slipper, and a plastic doll. A doll? With a sinking feeling, she remembered Mumta. Poor Mumta! She had been left behind in the hut. The waters were higher now. The island was fast disappearing. You can see in this picture. Something came floating out of the hut. It was an empty kerosene tin with one of the hens perched on top. A little later, the water must have reached the cot because the remaining hens flew up to the rock ledge and sat huddled there in the small recess. The water was rising rapidly now, and all that remained the island was the big rock that supported the hut, and the top of the hut itself and the peepal tree. It was a tall tree with many branches, and it seemed unlikely that the water could ever go right over it. But how long would Sita have to remain there? She climbed a little higher, and as she did so, a jet black jungle crow settled in the upper branches, and Sita saw that there was a crow's nest. In the nest there were 4 blue-green speckled eggs. The crow sat on them and cawed discordantly. But though the crow was miserable, its presence brought some cheer to Sita. At least she was not alone. Other things came floating out of the hut. A large pumpkin, a red turban belonging to grandfather, unwinding in the water like a long snake. And then Mumta, the doll being filled with straw and wood shavings, moving quite swiftly on the water and passed close to the peepal tree. Sita saw it and wanted to call out, to urge her friend to make for the tree, but she knew Mumta could not swim. The doll could only float and travel. The tree shook in the wind and the rain. The crow cawed and flew up, circled the tree few times, and returned to the nest. Sita clung to her branch. The tree had trembled throughout its tall frame. The river swirled all around her now. It was almost up to the roof of the hut. You can see. Soon the mud walls would crumble, except for the big rock and some trees far. There was only water to be seen. For a moment or two, Sita glimpsed a boat with several people in it moving sluggishly away from the ruins of a flooded village. And she thought she saw someone pointing towards her, but the river swept them on and the boat was lost to view. The river was very angry. It was like a wild beast. Then the tall old peepal tree groaned. Its long winding roots tenaciously to the earth from which the tree had sprung many years ago. But the earth was softening and the stones were being washed away, and the roots of the tree were rapidly losing their hold. The crow kept flying up and circling the tree, reluctant to settle in it and reluctant to fly away. Sita's wet cotton dress clung to her thin body, and the rain ran down from her long black hair. It poured from every leaf of the tree. The crow, too, was drenched and groggy. But the tree groaned and moved again. With a flurry of its beautiful leaves and surge of mud below, the tree left its place in the earth and tilting moved slowly forward, turning a little from side to side, dragging its roots along the ground. Then the tree moved into the main current of the river and went a little faster, swinging Sita from side to side, and her feet were in the water but clung to her branch. So, I have read till page number 33. Now in the next part we will read the other pages from page number 33. So always wear a mask while going to crowded places like malls and shops, and keep reading books. Now if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, comment below. Thank you.